Take a front row seat as forward-thinking speakers open your eyes to the latest innovations in the maritime world and a fresh perspective. The future is now. Welcome to VriThink's Night Out.
So, I'm a material designer from the Netherlands. I've been doing this work for 20 years. And in the coming 20 slides, I'm going to give you a fast-paced review of some of the materials I work on. And the first project I'm going to talk about is all the way in India, where I went in 2010 to develop a material based on the leaves from a palm tree, which you can see here. Actually, it's the husk of the palm tree, so the shell that wraps around the tree. This falls to the ground throughout the year, billions of these leaves, and they are hardly ever used. So I thought it was inspiring because they have super long fibers, and actually they're perfectly aligned by Mother Nature into large sheets, sometimes up to a square meter in height. Here you can see them, we collect these, and what I did, I developed a special solution, a natural solution to soften these brittle leaves and to make them into a flexible material, which we call palm leather. In 2012, I went there with my own money and started a little factory, which is still up and running today, making all sorts of products from this material. Here you can see me, beardless, younger, with some of the people I work with, and actually this factory is still operational and now self-replenishing and doing well. The current product, and actually this has been assigned into yachts already, is a carpet we made. We won awards for this, which is great. If I had time, I would explain which awards, and that would be funny. But anyways, this is a beautiful rug from little strips of this material, and you can walk on it, and it feels very soft to your feet, and it's actually a very nice yoga-type interior product. So the next project I want to talk about is all about natural fibers. And this is about compressing natural waste very hard and make sure they stick together with a natural polymer, a starch-based polymer, which we specialized in, biopolymers. And here you can see a library I developed in 2012 of 100 different organic waste streams that I basically pressed really hard and turned them into this decorative surface material. Over the last 5 years, we've fully developed this material. And we run a factory now. We produce about 2,000 of these large full sheets, about 120 to 40 centimeters, of all sorts of different materials, seashells, pine needles, algae, all sorts of materials we convert to a decorative panel. It's very tough. It's still VOC-free. And actually, now we also work in China. This is actually a collection we designed last week based on bamboo and green tea. So it's a biocomposite, and this material is doing quite well, and the factory is up and running, and perhaps we can one day use this in yachts as well. Here you can see an explicitly nice example. This we did last summer, where there was an exhibition in the Hague Museum about Dutch painters making beautiful flowery bouquets, and we designed the backing material with tulips. With dried tulips, we made this beautiful composition. Talking about tulips, we have many of those in Holland, 23,000 hectares every year. The fun thing is, in April, all these flowers disappear, to the sadness of American and Japanese tourists, because the farmers, they don't want the flowers, they want the bulbs. So they cut the flowers to save energy, and I thought it was such a waste. So what I did last year and the year before, I harvested 6 million of these flower heads. I dried them, and I grinded them to a fine pulp, to a fine powder, which we use as a coloring pigment in the industry. What we do now with a large fashion brand is the common collection in spring is going to be colored with these pigments. The cool thing here is that the color is stable, because every year the color is the same, because of course it's a genetic determined color. So this fashion company is very happy that every year when they order these pigments, they get the same color. Here you can see some beautiful colors we generate already in 2016. The fashion brand of companies, of course, is going to make even nicer colors, and also through a sustainable way of fixating color. So that's going to be very interesting. Another thing I like is waste from mussels. This is a project I did for ProRail, the Dutch railway company who maintains the railway tracks in Holland. I developed a sustainable replacement for non-constructive concrete. So not constructive concrete, non-constructive concrete, which is important because when you go to a railway station, you see these round objects where you can sit on. on the rail, and they are made from concrete. And I thought it was a little bit silly, because why would you use concrete? So this again is fully bound with a biopolymer, fully recyclable, and quite a beautiful object to sit on. I think there's 2 more projects I want to share with you. And the next one is, let me think. Oh yeah, I know the next one. For the Friesians in the room, you know this plant. This is the cattail. We're going to get a lot more of those in the future, because Holland, we want to keep it as wet as possible. And in these wet areas, we need to grow crops that extract nutrients, and then we want to use them to make building materials. So the turnabout is actually a very important plant, the cattail. And what we did with Frisian farmers and the grass dryery is convert this plant into a very useful fiber, which you can see here, to use for building materials. Dijkstra Draaisma, perhaps some of you know it, they already build these houses now, and they basically use insulation. They use this material for insulation. What I do for them is making fully sustainable construction panels. This is a prototype we do now, fully VOC-free again, not only bio-based but biological, so it means that it really does no harm. And here you can see me in my studio working on this panel. It looks low-tech, but the biopolymers in here are actually very high-tech. We need to have certification for these things as well. The last one is beautiful. It's reed. We have a lot of that in Holland for roof thatching. We have 300 reed farmers left, and actually they asked me to do an intervention, design intervention on reed as well, and I turned it into a new building material, which I really like, which is a sandwich panel, which you can see here, where I actually use the properties of the hollow reed as basically a distance keeper between 2 layers that have directional strength, which is what a sandwich panel is. This is the last thing I want to show you. You can see all these beautiful natural materials are actually very useful for our future building materials. I'm not entirely sure if they're all suitable for the marine environment, but I really want to ask you to give it a try and to see whether you can use some of these materials in your future yachts. Thank you very much.